Hello guys, this is the final report. Global warming climate change. My name is Sunny Lexel from BS2D. Okay. Global warming climate change. Cause. Outside of greenhouse, higher atmosphere carbon dioxide, called name CO2 level can have both positive and negative effect on crop yield. Some laboratory experiments suggest that elevated CO2 level can increase plant growth. However, other factors such as changing temperature, ozone, and water and nutrients constraints may more than counteract any potential increase in yield. If optimal temperature range for some crops are exceeded, earlier positive gains in yield may be reduced or reverse alter go. Climate extreme such as droughts, floods, and extreme temperature can lead to crop loss and threaten the livelihood of agriculture producers and the food security of communities worldwide depending on the crops and ecosystem. Weeds, pests, and fungi can also thrive under warmer temperature. Weather climates and increased CO2 levels and climate change will likely increase weeds and pests. Finally, although rising CO2 can stimulate plants' growth, research has shown that it can also reduce the nutritional value of most food crops by reducing the concentration of proteins and essential minerals in most plant species. Climate change can cause new pattern of pests of disease to emerge, affecting plants, animals, and human, and posing new risks for food security, food safety, and for human health. This is the cause of global warming and climate change. Okay, next. And this is the guide to the greenhouse effect. And number one, solar radiation research the Earth atmosphere. Some of radiation is reflected by Earth atmosphere and surface, but most of the radiation is absorbed by the Earth's surface and atmosphere, warming it. Okay, yung number two, the Earth's surface re-emits some energies and infrared radiation. A portion of infrared radiation escapes Earth's atmosphere and goes back into space. Ayan yung sa sunlight po. And number three, some of the infrared radiation is trapped by greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, which cause Earth's surface and low atmosphere to warm. And lastly, number four, human activities are increase the levels of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, which is trapping extract heat and raising Earth temperature. Next, global warming and climate change po pa rin tayo. In fact, our climate is determined by pattern of temperature. May mga pattern daw po tayo. Tulad nung wind, atmospheric pressure, humidity, and rain over a long period of time. There are different climate around the world, such as tropical, dry, and moderate as a large country. In large country po pala ay Australia has a variety of climates. Paiba-iba po ng climates yung Australia. The climates of the area determines its season and when they come and go. This in turn affects the type of plants that grow and which animals survive. The species and place we love depends on intricate ecosystem and even small chance to the climate can disrupt the duplicate duplicate, sorry, big balance of nature. As humans, every aspect of our life is reliant on the natural environment. This includes the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and clothes we wear, and the products that are made and sold to create jobs and drive the ecosystem. Ito po yung impact. And next, prevention. A human have caused major climate change to happen already, and we have set in motion more change still, even if we stop emitting greenhouse gas today. Global warming would cause to happen for at least several more decades. Yung more mga dekada ulit. If not centuries, that because it takes a while for the planet, for example, the ocean, to respond, and because carbon dioxide, the predominant heat trapping gas, lingers in the atmosphere for hundreds of years. There is a time lag between what we do and when we feel it. In the absence of major action to reduce emission, global temperature is on track to rise by 2.5 Celsius to 45 Celsius. And the other 45 to 8 by 2,100 according to the least estimate. Okay po, yun po yung estimate ng prevention. And yung global mitigation, reducing climate change involve reducing to the flow of heat-trapping greenhouse gas into the atmosphere, either by reducing source of this gas. For example, the burning of fossil for electrical heat or transport, or in changing the sink that accumulate and store these gases, such as the oceans, forests, and soil. The goal of mitigation is to avoid significant human interference with the climate system and stabilize greenhouse gas levels in the time phrase sufficient to allow ecosystem to adapt naturally to climate change, ensure that foods production is not threatened, and to enable economic development to proceed in the sustainable manners. From the 2014 Report of Mitigation of Climate Change. From the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Okay, next. Statistic of Climate Change. Ito po yung pinaka-data. Climate change remains one of the most important challenge facing humanity, its affect every country. Yun, nakaka-apekto daw po pala ang climate sa lahat ng country. Even sa sa ibang lugar po, sa atin din po na-apekto minsan. And disrupt national economics and affects lives. Ayun, naapektuhan po ang ating buhay. Costing people, communities, and countries. Yun, yung mga naapektuhan po. Significantly today and in the future. Patuloy din po hanggang sa future. In addition, there is also significant inequity between countries' emissions and impacts, meaning that often those who contribute to climate change that least suffer from the most people experiencing the growing impacts of climate change, which including changing weather pattern, rising sea level, and more extreme weather events, yung mga extreme. Okay. This is the statistic data on climate change nung unang panahon pa po. Okay, next. My topic is solid waste management. Undergo of solid waste management. First is definition. Solid waste management, the collecting, treating, and disposing of solid materials that is discharged because it has served its purpose or is no longer useful. Improper disposal of municipal solid waste can create unsanitary condition, and these conditions in turn can lead to pollution of environment and to outbreak of vectors-borne disease, that is disease spread by rodents and insects. Ano po ba yung rodents? Ang rodents po ay yung mga parang daga at mga bacteria o mga insects that task of solid waste management present complex technical challenge. They also pose a wide variety of administrative, economic, and social problem that must be managed by solve. Objective can be categorized based on materials such as plastic, paper, glass, metals, and organic waste. Categorization may also be based on hazard potential, including radioactive, flammable, infections, toxic, or non-toxic waste. Categorize may also pertain to the origin of the waste, whether industrial, domestic, commercial, institutional, or construction and demolition. Regardless of origin, content, or hazard potential, solid waste must be managed systematically to ensure environmental-based practice as solid waste management is a critical aspect of environmental hygiene and must be incorporated into environmental planning. This is the objective. Okay. Solid generation. The generation of solid waste is the inevitable consequence of all process where materials are used, extraction of raw materials, manufacture of product consumptions, and waste management all generate waste. The rate of materials used today is so large, but with regard to the total amount and see as a per capita average, that waste generate will impact on the environmental quality and human health worldwide if it is not managed properly. Okay, next, recycling undergo of solid waste management. Recycling is the recovery of reuse of materials from waste. Ito po yung recycle na parang yung pwede pa hong basura ho na pwede pa ho nating i-recycle. Solid waste recycling refers to the reuse of manufactured goods from waste resource such as steel, copper, or plastic can be recovered and reused. Recycling and recovery, it only one for phrase on the integrated approach to solid waste management that also includes reducing the amount of waste produced, composting, incinerating, and landfilling disposal. Solid waste management, the collecting, treating, and disposing of solid materials that is discovered because it has served its purpose or it's no longer useful. Improper disposal or municipal solid waste can create an unsanitary condition, and this condition is termed called lead pollution of the environment and outbreak of vector-borne disease, that is disease spread by rodent increase and insects. The task is solid waste management present complex technical challenge. They also pose wide variety administration, economic, of social problem must be managed by SOL. Yan po yung solids o yung disposal na parang pagdidispose ng kalat na nakakasira sa environment natin na tinatawag din po minsan na pollution. Okay. Recyclable materials. Ito po yung pwedeng i-recyclable o i-recycle na pwede pang gamitin. Aluminum cans. Ayan, pwede po natin ganyan. Car burner, carpenting, cereal box, comics book, egg carton, glass container, laundry detergent bottle, motor oil, nails, newspaper, paper towel, steel product, trash bag. And recycling is the process of converting waste materials into new materials and objects that recover of energy from waste materials of obtained, including in this concept the recyclability of a materials depends on its ability to require the properties had in its original states. It's the alternative to conventional waste disposal that can save materials and help lower greenhouse gas emission. Recycling can prevent the waste of potentially useful materials and reduce the consumption of fresh raw materials, thereby reducing energy usage, air pollution from incineration, and water pollution from landfilling. Okay po, ito po yung recycling po ay pwede po tayong makatipid ng kaunti sa pag-recycle po natin ng mga bagay sa ating kapaligiran. Okay, yung sunod naman po doon ay ang non-recyclable materials. Yung garbage po, hindi po siya pwedeng i-recycle kasi po nabubulok po yun eh. Yung food waste, food tainted item such as used paper plates or box, paper towel or paper napkin, ceramic and kitchenware, windows and mirrors, plastic wrap, packaging peanut and bubble wrap, wax box, photographs, medical waste, polyethylene or styrofoam, and hazardous chemical containers, plastic toy, and sporting goods equipment, foam, egg carton, wood, light bulb, yield waste, air or garden tools. Ito po yung next. Benefits of recycling. Ano po ba yung nakukuha natin sa pagbe-benefits? First, para po sa akin, ang pagbe-benefits po ng recycling ay mas napapatipid ang tao at pwede po natin gamitin ang mga basura na mapapakinabangan natin sa ating bahay, sa kapaligiran, at makakales po tayo sa basura ng kapaligiran. Okay. Reduce the size of landfills. One of the biggest reason why recycling has been promoted is those reduce that stain on our environment. Conserve natural resources. Ayun po, yung na-preserve po natin yung kapaligiran. Hindi po natin nadudumihan at nakakatulong po tayo sa inang kalikasan. More employment opportunities. Yung more employment opportunities, mas nagiging malikhain po tayo sa paggamit ng mga basura sa kapaligiran. Offers cars benefits. Ayun po, yung basura po na pwede po natin pang maibenta para mas makatulong tayo sa nangangailangan. Or ibigay na lang po natin sa mga basurero na hindi po natin kayang gampanan para sila po ang magre-recycle o ibebenta po nila sa mga pabrika na pwedeng mag-recycle. Okay. Save money. Ayun po, yung save money. Sinabi ko nga po. Mas makakatipid po tayo pag nag-recycling po tayo. And reduce greenhouse gas emission. Ayun po, yung naiiwasan po yung mga yung pollution sa hangin po dahil po yung iba po kasi nagsusunog para mabawasan po yung basura sa kanila. Kaya po mas mainam na ibigay na lang. And save energy. Yun po, mas nakakatipid po tayo sa paggamit ng o pag-recycling ng bagay-bagay. Stimulate the use of greener technology. Okay? Philippine government. The Philippines has endeavored to improve its management of solid waste through the passage of RA 903 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act that provide for a systematic, comprehensive, and ecological waste management program to ensure the protection of public health and the environment in mandates the Bureau to provide secretariat support to the National Solid Waste Management Commission in the implementation of the solid waste management plans and prescribes policies to achieve the objectives of the National Ecology Center that is in charge of information dissemination, consultation, education, and training of various local government units on ecological waste management. And next, flood control. Okay, first, Tokyo Underground Floor Tunnel. Based on this, mas makakadali po yata tayong makakadaan. Ito po yata yung tunnel na pwede po tayong dumaan sa taas, sa baba. Para parang by versa. Pwede po sa taas, pwede sa baba. Floor tunnel. A tunnel structure arranged in the centers of the floor of a passenger motor vehicle which extend in the longitudinal direction and in which a hollow barrier is formed by tunnel edge reinforcement, at least one transverse extending over the open tunnel side and supporting drive units part is adapted to be threadable connected to the parallel flange of the two tunnel. Edge reinforcement while bolt holes and insert opening coordinates to the bolt hole are provided in the reinforcing member at different longitudinal position for movable connecting bolts. Okay? Next, undergo pa rin po siya ng floor control. Flood control pala. Sorry. Diversion canal. Okay, this is the example of diversion canal. This is for the picture. Flow diversion canal intakes in water for downstream user only during very large floods. Balik po natin. For that example is yung parang pwede pong mag-stack ng tubig sa isang side tapos sa harangan po para makaipon po ng tubig, tapos po sa kabila siya yung parang mismo pong overflow lang po na punong malaking parang kanal po na yon para dumaloy pa rin po yung tubig doon sa kabila para hindi po masyadong ma-imbak o mapunong masyado para hindi po masira yung malaking kanal. May parang isa pong diversion canal na ginawa para doon po dumaan yung nag-overflow po doon sa malaking kanal. For my opinion, sir. And this is the meaning. Diversion dam or canal is a dam that divert all or a portion of the flow of a river from its natural course. Diversions dams do not generally impound water in a reservoir. Instead, the water is diverted into an artificial water course or canal, which may be used for irrigation or return to the river. After passing through hydroelectric generator flow into the different river, or B, itself dam forming an on-ground or groundwater reservoir, or a storm drain. And river dredging. And ito po yung example ng river dredging. First is flat lang po yung mismong ilalim niya. And yung ito, steep build up on riverbed over time. And during heavy rain or river floods, natatakpan po yung ilalim niya, yung parang ano po yung tawag doon? Putik, yung pagbaha na alam ko po parang nadadagdagan yung putik sa ilalim, kaya po umaalsa o umaangat po ulit yung mismong ilalim ng river. Kaya po yung tubig umaapaw. Kaya yun po yung nagkokos ng baha. And 3, diggers of vacuum pumps can be used to remove silt of increased river capacity. Yun po, malaking tulong din po yung pag-river dredging kasi mas naiiwasan po natin yung pagbaha. Kasi po nakukuha po yung putik na nadagdag sa ilalim ng river o ilog na nagkokos po ng baha. Kaya mas maganda po palagi may nagre-river dredging para maiwasan po yung malaking pagbaha. And 4, but after an extreme floods, river accumulates more seeps of flow slow down. Yun po yung mas nakakaganda po yung paggawa ng ganyang river dredging. Mas napapanatili po yung level talaga po ng river sa ilalim. Okay, this is the picture of river dredging. Yeah. Every year, the needs for river dredging increase around the world. Communities that surround the natural flow of a river are susceptible to annual flooding during the rainy season. If the river is not properly maintained, silt, sands, and debris can accumulate and form a bottleneck. If a major rain event occurs, then the bottleneck will resist flow and the river will rise above its bank and floods local business and dwelling, costs millions of dollars in property damage and possible loss of life. River dredging is necessary to maintain the natural flow of river and limit the potential of disaster. Okay, next, river widening. Maganda rin po rin yung river widening. Mas napapaganda po in terms na niluluwangan po nila yung daluyan ng river. Kasi po pagka hindi po niluwangan yun nga po nagkukos ng baha na maaring malaki po yung masira. Kaya mas maganda ho, river as must be widening. A river, the river channel may be widened or deepened, allowing it to carry more water. A river channel may be straightened so that water can travel faster along the course. Altering the river channel may lead to a greater risk of flooding downstream as the water is carried there faster. And seawall. Ayan po, maganda rin po yung seawall. Pagka hindi na po kaya nung river widening, may seawall pa po tayo. Mas maganda rin po yun. Pag umapaw po masyado o mataas po ang baha, ang daloy ng tubig, mas na poprotektahan po ang mga tao dahil diyan sa seawall. Kasi po, para po siya yung maintain o mismong harang nung nag-overflow na tubig po doon sa river o seawall. A seawall or a seawall is a form of coastal defense of constructed where the sea and associated coastal process impact directly upon the landform of the coast. The purpose of the seawall is to protect areas of human habitation, conservation, and leisure activities from the action of tides, waves, and tsunamis. Leaves of flood control. Method of flood control. Flood wall barrier built along river bank made of concrete, stone, or bricks. Leave wide embanking built along river banks made by clay, sands, or soil between top with sandbag. Flood wall. Okay? Parang ganun din po siya sa seawall. Flood barrier. Ayun, flood barrier po pala. Protect against water entering into your properties. Ayun, tulad nga po, magkamukha lang din po sila nung seawall. Or land significantly reducing the ingress of water, which will reduce the amount of cleanup required after the flood water as dissipated, reducing the influx of destruction of the floods on your home or business. Embanking. Ito po yung pagdadagdag ng soil o lupa sa gilid ng ilog o ng dagat po. An embanking is a word used for the artificial ridge of soil and or rocks built by the side of a river and designed to try to prevent the river from flooding during times of high water. It is an alternative word to dike. Leaves. Okay, ito po yung ano. A leaves of or dike, embanking, flood bank, or stop bank is an elongated, naturally occurring ridge of artificially constructed field of wall that regulated water levels. It is usually either or often parallel to the course of an river, is in floodplain or along low-lying coastlines. Ito po yung dams or yung mismong pinagkukuhanan po natin ng tubig ngayon, mga dike. A dam as a barrier that stop or resists that flow of water or underground stream. Reservoir creating by dam or not only suppress floods but also provide water for activities such as irrigation, human consumption, industrial use, aquacultural, and navigatability. Floods control measure. Control of floods. Some methods of floods control have been practiced since ancient times. This method includes planting vegetation of retains extract water, tracing hillsides to slow flow downhill, and construction of floodway man-made channel to divert floodwater. Other techniques include the construction of levees, dikes, dams, reservoir, or retention ponds to hold extract water during time of flooding. Of cause of flooding. Cause of flooding, massive rainfall, drainage system, and effective infrastructure designs age during heavy rain. Overflowing of the river. The people living along the river always have a risk of life from the overflowing of the river, collapsing dam, snow melt, deforestation, climate change, emission of greenhouse gas, other factors. And this is a cause of flooding. Okay, next, water treatment. Public water treatment and distribution. This includes 1. Collection, 2. Screen and straining, 3. Chemical addition, 4. Coagulation and flocculation, 5. Sedimentation and clarification, and 6. Filtration, and 7. Disinfection, 8. Storage, and lastly 9. Finally, distribution. And this is the example of water supply screening. Ito po yung naghaharang sa mga basura or yung mga madudumi na naghaharang sa mga lumulutang na basura. And coagulation or flocculation, sorry. Coagulation and flocculation are used to separate the suspended solid portion from the water. Suspended practice vary in source charge, particle size and shapes, and density. Coagulation and flocculation occurs in successive step, allowing particles collision and growth of floc. This is the example. Coagulation added, and ito po yung example pala. Sorry. Sedimentation and clarification. Sedimentation is a physical water treatment process using gravity to remove suspended solid from water. Clarifiers are tanks built with mechanical means for continuous removal of solids being deposited by sedimentation. Clarification does not remove dissolved species. Clarification, sedimentation, or flotation are physical water treatment process using gravity or buoyancy to remove suspended solid from water. Solid particles entrained by the turbulence of moving water may be removed naturally by sedimentation in the still water or of lakes and oceans. Settling basins or ponds constructed for the purpose of removing entrained solid by sedimentation. Settling basins are built with mechanical means for continuous removal and solids being deposited by sedimentation, dissolved air flotation, clarification system are considered high-rate classifiers with introduced water saturated with air to float. Water supply sedimentation. Okay, this is the example of water supply sedimentation. And filtration. Water filtration is the process of removing or reducing the concentration of particulate matters including suspended particles, parasite, bacteria, algae, virus, and fungi, as well as other undesirable chemical and biological contaminants from contaminated water to produce safe and clean water for specific purpose such as drinking, medical, and pharmaceutical application. Water supply filtration. Sorry, sir. The water is allowed to pass slowly through a layer of sand placed above the base material and tubes. That purification process aimed at stimulated improvement biological, chemical, and physical characteristic of water. Ito po yung water sa taas, sa middle, ay yung sa taas po ay sand, sa middle gravel, and sa baba po ay yung under drain na, yung linis na pong maduming tubig. Disinfection. Water disinfection means the removal, activation, or killing of pathogenic microorganisms. Microorganisms are destroyed or deactive, resulting in termination of growth and reproduction when microorganisms are not removed from drinking water. Drinking water usage will cause people of fully sterilization is a process related to disinfection. However, during the sterilization process, all present microorganisms are killed, both harmful and harmless microorganisms. Ito po yung disinfection ay maganda rin po sa paglilinis ng tubig. Okay, next. Disinfection. Ito po yung chlorine gas. Storage. For most communities, water demand tens of fluoridation throughout the day. Elevated demand of morning and evening is commonly followed by much lower demand in the middle of the day and overnight. To accumulate this swing, adequate water storage facilities essential, which the properly sized water storage tank municipalities are able to purchase smaller, less cost pump and treating facilities. These pumps need to powerful enough to meet average water demand is customer while maintaining optimal capacity utilization during period when demand is lower than production. The useless water is conveniently and safely stored for use during peak time. Okay, dito po ay ito yung mismong water supply storage, yung pag-store ng tubig. Yan po yung nilalagay. Okay. This is my end of report. Thank you po, sir.